Check, check, check. All the levels. Okay. I can't tell unless.
Check, mic check, mic check. Absolutely love that track. Love, 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 love. Cool like that. Cool like that. That's how we're starting the show on a cool note right here on the vault. I'm your girl, Myra Maloba, the Afropunk Queen in the studio. We also got.
Yes, the beat maker, not the beat taker. Yes, I'm here, Mr. Handsome. 10 fingers in the air. That's how I represent. Don't hate Myra. In our family, it's me who is the one. Like,
I can't get into that conversation.
Yeah,
right
and that's why I say if you don't know, you better ask your mama.
Ask her.
That's how we do it, man, over here. So it's our day, Thursday. You know how we represent hip hop all the way. Representing Kenyan talent.
Right.
That's what we're about here on the Vote, bringing the old school and the new school together.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been happening this week?
A lot. A lot. We have the Will Smiths just letting us into their closets, telling us everything and unleashing all their dirt.
Jada. They've been separated since 2016.
Man, Jada.
People feel like she wanted to marry Tupac.
Yes, and so does Will Smith. But all these things, Chris Rock wanting to date her.
I think Jada was they were just school friends with because they knew each other when they were like in this creative art. They were studying creative art together.
Right, they were just tight.
So I think because Tupac never had that thing that he was like he looked at her like his best friend.
Yeah.
That's all it was. But people always have a way of looking at things differently and saying, no, it was really like this. Like, how do they know it was like that?
But I think even for Will Smith, it was the same. It was the thing of, how do I live up to the image of this man in her life? It wasn't exactly sexual or whatever. It was more of the emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she held him to a certain standard, and there's always that ghost somewhere that,
Well, But Will Smith had his own career. Him and Jazzy Jeff, like
Yeah.
like they were big, like in hip hop. When you talk about Philly, like people say, hey, these are the guys who made it happen.
Right.
If it was not for them, I don't think it would be what it is. And so he has. I can understand if she was always talking about him or saying, yeah, she is. Then he's making Tupac's making his moves. There's that jealousy, that comes in. I understand that point of view. Like, why is she so close to him?
Exactly. And I think, for Will Smith, he was a little bit more lollipop. And at that time, Tupac, of course, was gangster.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's always that comparison, especially because, a lot of women love the more, hard gangster kind of.
Though I watched this documentary the other day that Kevin Hart did. It's called Heart to Heart.
Right.
And Dr. Dre was on it. Now, people know Dr. Dre rarely does interviews.
Yes.
And he actually said that he doesn't like that terminology that was placed on them, gangster rap.
Okay.
He said they were just trying to do music. It's people
Right.
who branded it. As up till today, he doesn't like that terminology.
But they ran with it. He ran with it.
They had to run with it because now it was already out there. But
Yes.
the guy actually who, if you know, was represented as the OG of gangster rap, it was Ice-T.
Right.
Ice-T. And before Ice-T, there was someone else, And so that's that's what, 87, 88, 89,
Right.
Because NWA came out in 89,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, he was just like, he didn't really like that term, because when they came out with their music, they're not trying to do anything gangster, which is true. If you look at their first music they brought out as NWA before all this, and they said this whole thing about like F the police and all this, they brought out because they faced a situation
Right.
at that time.
Right.
They were upset, like, you're going in the studio, you're being stopped by the cops.
Right.
But then it's like, after that, everyone started claiming them. Oh, they've gone against these guys. Oh, that's gangster rap, And so, which is understandable. People would brand it like that.
Right.
But there's two sides to every story.
There is, and of course, it is also always just about living that life, and now a lot of information is coming out with this whole Tupac story, and Keith D claims that it was actually Diddy who put out the hit on Tupac.
That story's been going on for years.
For years.
Yeah.
Of course there was, the beef between the East and the West. But now Keith D has come out decades later and kind of like confirmed it as a truth.
All these stories, but they're hard to verify. They're really hard. Because one person comes and says, yes, it's like this. The other person says, but then the proof, because the courts, what they go by is the proof. What is actually there, not hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because Diddy has always said he had nothing to do with that. He's kept out. In fact, he says that he's been branded by people, or he's been looked at a certain way, and it's not the truth.
Well, this is the thing about rumors. For every 99% that's false, that 1% that leaves just a little bit of doubt is the problem. So it still leaves a lot to be questioned, and Suge kind of alluded last time to the fact that he probably does know who killed Tupac. It wasn't Keith D. It's just a lot of confusion.
I believe there's just too many issues. It's like that time they came and said, this producer who was Death Row. They said, oh, Dre took the credits. He didn't really do most of the
work, yeah.
And this guy came and said, no, you're wrong. Dre did it. So there's always someone in the background who's saying something, and you really don't know what it does. What it does with these comments, it brings up speculation.
Right.
And then what happens is the mass media, the mass public, come up with their own thing. People don't understand where this whole terminology of social media came from. It comes from the word medium.
Yeah.
So there has to be a middle person there. And a lot of times when you come up with a concept about something, there's all these middle people who come and say, nah, it wasn't like. I always say, even right now, if you go to Nairobi right now, go to Kenya right now, Uliza Jamaa Kitungu, what he thinks, he has an opinion. And then he's like, no, I know it's the truth. I know. If you ask him, how do you know it's the truth?
Right.
He can't tell you. He just says, I just know it's the truth.
That's the thing. You know, like now even I'm reading on the fact that Tupac's siblings last month, they were questioning why are you going after Kifiti? Why is he the guy you've picked for this particular investigation? And they're like, we don't know anything about this guy. The brother says, everybody get your popcorn because we don't know anything. And it doesn't appear that this investigation has been robust in the smallest way.
I think there's a lot of things out there that even if it goes, we're never going to really know. We're really not going to know 100% what the truth really is. We're gonna have certain people are speaking because the Tupac story is a thing that is gonna go on for years.
Yeah.
No one's really gonna know the whole truth apart from the people who were there at that time and were behind the scenes. You know, so Suge is always gonna come out. And the thing about Suge is he likes being in the spotlight.
Right.
And he was warned, like, if you want to survive as CEO in this game, do not put yourself out there in the spotlight. But what did he do at Source Awards? He went and caused beef.
Right.
You know? So he wanted to be in the limelight. He's always wanted to be in the limelight.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with him. He's always going to, even from where he is, he's going to be like, yeah, this how it is. This, you know, because people like him love controversy.
Right.
And that's never going to end.
And that's why I said, like, he's a narcissist. He's a guy who dwells on, or rather just thrives off of just being seen, being heard. He wants to have this certain power over all situations. And I think this is a way of also him asserting power over this situation by saying, nah, it ain't Kifdi. Then who is it? If you're saying that with certainty, who is it? Who did it?
Suge has a lot of issues. You know, like there's an issue that's been coming up a lot that that Suge, when he bait up Eazy-E, he gave him AIDS. Because that's the way that's been going on for the longest time. But you know the way they brought out the movie Straight Out of Compton? So there's a lady that was in Dre's life. Monchele or something, that was her name, eh? And she brought her, because they never mentioned her in the movie.
Michele, yeah.
Yeah, she got pissed off.
Right.
And she was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to bring out my own movie. What really happened?
Surviving Compton.
Surviving Compton.
Yes.
And in the movie, she dates not just Dre, but Suge.
Right.
And Suge tries also to beat her up or what, you know.
They were both beating on her.
Yeah, Dre was also, but Dre has been known to have a violent past.
Right.
You know, though it's covered up a lot.
Yes.
You know, he also beat up on this reporter.
Right.
D Woods. You know? And that story was put down for many years. So it just back limelight just recently when she was saying this is what really happened. It was over some conspiracy thing still.
Right.
And so like Suge is known to act all there's one guy who's known to act all gangster and has gang affiliations, you know, and the whole death row was just toxic. That's why Dre left. Suge is that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a shame. And to all those, and you see the funny thing is about Suge, when you hear about that story, what was that guy from Nigeria who passed away?
Mobad.
Yeah. Isn't it the same thing with those CEOs? It's the same thing.
It's a dirty game. It's dirty business.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants clarity, okay? Everybody just wants clarity. But again, you know, like for the siblings dons of like, you guys, you're just taking us on this roller coaster. Sometimes you just let things be. But this whole thing about now Diddy being put in the limelight in regards to this, 50 Cent has been going crazy with it and be like, yep. Lawyer up, it's going to be thick, it's going to be sticky, it's going to be bad for you.
Diddy also has his issues where now, like, this whole thing of him giving away the publishing, years, like decades later, you know, people are asking why. So, and then all of a sudden now he brings out this new record. What's it called? The Love Project or something? Yeah. You know? So people are like, oh, so that's why he wanted just to sell another thing. He wanted to look good.
Right.
And so all these guys, I feel they have an angle, whether you can see it or not.
Right.
They all have an angle.
Right.
You know, and some of the artists for Bad Boys were like, we don't need the publishing now. How long is it? These songs can't go anywhere. We can't really make off it. And now is when you're giving it to us when we wanted it, you refuse to give it to us.
Yeah.
So why are you giving that to us right now?
Right.
I know like the Logs had an issue with it,
Mm.
and they're like, what the heck is this now?
Mm.
So I feel all of these guys have an angle, whether you can see it or not. And this scenario that's come back about Tupac is just another way it's gonna market them and put them back in the limelight.
Yeah, it's just, if that is indeed the game, it's unfortunate. Again, just profiting over somebody who's passed away, it's really crazy. Diddy being brought in the front of this, I'm waiting to hear what his response will be. If he does get deposed, how would that look like in court? I hope that they put in cameras in this court case,
They don't
so
like
we
doing
can
that
watch.
high profile. They don't like doing it.
Well, I'm hoping, just like Johnny Depp's case, I hope that the judge allows cameras in this one, because again, everybody's trying to find that closure.
But Tupac, let's be honest, like some people claim that he was not really a rapper. He was more like a poet.
He was a poet.
He's not classified what they classify, and they've given lists of guys who they classify are rappers. And the thing about him, he had all these scandals that always followed him, because in fact he even agrees. He says he had a big mouth.
Yeah.
And so he would talk and it'd be taken a certain way. Even the time he was accused of assaulting this lady, and it went through court. And I like the thing that he says in the end when the judge said, "Can you speak and speak your side?" And then he told the judge, "You've not looked at me once this whole time, but you're going about my tattoos, going about how you think I am." And the last thing he says, "It's no point in me saying anything, only God can judge me."
Right.
And whether people liked him or they didn't like him, there's always something they pick up about him that he spoke the truth. And that's why even in the year 2023, he's still existent in people's lips. Even people who are not alive at that time, they know about him. But there's a lot of rappers who passed away and no one talks about them.
Right.
A good example is, and I really think he was a dope MC. That's Prodigy of Mobb Deep.
Yeah.
Like, there are other guys who passed away. You don't
One
hear
of the best at that time, to be honest.
And funny thing, he was also aligned at one time. Mobb Deep was aligned at one time to Tupac, and at the same time, Nas.
Right.
He knew about them, though he ended up dissing them later on. But it's like, I feel like he was such a dope MC.
Right.
But it's like he's been buried in the grave and people have forgotten about it. But Tupac is still mentioned every single time.
Right. Because, of course, he left a legacy at 25 years old. He died at 25.
But you know what he also left? He left a blueprint for rap. And what I mean blueprint is not what people think, but he left a blueprint that you have to have a big mouth like Tupac to survive in the hip-hop game.
Right.
So everyone's trying to do that.
Yeah, everybody, that's how it has been for the past few years. Guys have just been, it's kind of like a fight going in like Ali.
Yeah.
You have to go and give a little bit of lip before, you drop something. And like even you can see the past weekend, Drake dropped his album, something the
And
dogs.
Joe Biden went off at him.
Joe Biden went off, but of course it's gotten Joe Biden more listeners, and it's gotten people anticipating Drake's album.
I think Joe Biden may have truth or may not have truth, but what happens is with Drake, he's always seen, because of his light skin, he's always seen as a mama's boy. You know, so they never take him. It doesn't matter how many hits he has, and he has a lot of hits, but people never really give him the dues that he needs.
Right.
They never give him those because they're like, yeah, Drake, yeah, so what? Like he's not hood enough.
Now there's a person called Jaguarite. She was part of Jay-Z's camp at some point, and she's been coming out speaking about who Diddy has taken out, who Jay-Z has taken out. I know that lady. You know Jaguarite?
She's also an artist.
Yeah.
She was on most of those artists. She was as a backup vocalist. And
yes, she's spoken about Aaliyah. She's spoken about
Mary J. Blige.
Big L. She's talking about... So I want us to go on a break. When we come back, we'll have the clip where she talks about Diddy and who he is supposed to have taken out, and then we'll delve into this in just a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, we're all about that hip hop music from the 254 to the world. Right here at the vault with Myra Maloba, the Afro Punk Queen.
Yes, the beat maker, not the beat taker. 10 fingers in the air. That's how we're coming through today. Yes. If you don't know, you better ask your mama.
Ask her.
If you don't know, ask your cousin. They'll tell us who the heck we are.
Right now, we're talking all things. Let's just bring it down to conspiracy theories, okay?
Yeah, there's many of those.
So there is this one, and like let me tell you, like last week, my head was literally wrapped around all of it. I was watching one clip after another, after another, after another.
Oh goodness.
And yes, once you go down that rabbit hole, there's no getting out. It's not easy to get out.
Yeah,
I tried to get myself out, but it was very, very, very difficult.
You're watching like no wonder. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know. So all this Illuminati, in the hip hop world. Although I don't discount it. It might not be Illuminati, but there's a secret society why these things are happening.
They make people rich underground.
Right. Mary J. Blige, she came out and spoke out about the fact that Aaliyah's death during that time, she said it was a spiritual killing. She said it was a spiritual murder.
The one where she went to her video and the plane came down.
The plane came down. She said she was snatched out.
But they said it was her bodyguard who was overweight. That's one of the reasons why.
Oh my God, a bodyguard can't bring down a plane.
Yeah, they were like, it was a small plane. It wasn't a commercial plane.
Here's the story, okay? Hype Williams, who's the one who produced, was the director of those videos, Rock the Boat.
Most of them, huh?
Yes. So for that particular project was Rock the Boat. And it was set here with green screen and everything already in New York. Everything was set. Then he changes his mind and is like, nah, we gotta go to the Bahamas. Now, Aaliyah wasn't really feeling that story because she is, or rather was, scared of planes. Okay? So she was like, nah, let's just do it here, blah, blah, blah. Hype Williams was assistant, and she even told Dame Dash. Dame Dash has given witness to the fact that she was scared of getting on the plane.
Yeah, they were dating at that time.
Yes. So they get to the Bahamas. Because Dame Dash was like, don't get on that plane. She's like, man, I gotta do what I gotta do. I have to work. Let me go. So she gets on the plane. They get to the Bahamas. They shoot the video. And then she has a bad feeling about when she looks at the plane for coming back. She's like, there's something wrong with this plane. There's something wrong with this plane. And Dame Dash was like, okay, fine, maybe let's find another way of you coming back. Then Lenny Kravitz actually offered his plane to Aaliyah to come back with. But Hype Williams went and snatched it up and took it up for himself. Now, why would he do that if she's the star of the video?
You see these conspiracies.
Now, this is something Dame Dash has put out himself, okay? I'll send you the link.
Dame Dash is another one who has these theories. That one I know.
Yes.
That one I know.
So he says Lenny Kravitz gave the plane, but Hype Williams took it away from Aaliyah. And now there's a kid who came out who was 13 at the time who said that he was in the car with Aaliyah when she was being driven to the airport. And that the person she was with slipped her a pill so that she could relax. So when she was going into the plane, she's not exactly walking in, she was carried in. So she wasn't conscious as the plane was going up. Next thing you know, something fails, the plane goes down. Now, the conspiracy theory here is, okay, what happened was that Jay-Z, it's openly known, tried to get with Aaliyah, but she didn't like Jay-Z like that, so she got with Dame Dash. Okay? And this didn't make Jay-Z way too happy. So the conspiracy theory is that he plotted with Hype Williams for that to happen, for the plane to come down.
How did the story come out that Jay-Z wanted Aaliyah? Who said it?
Dame Dash and a few other industry, Jaguar Wright and a few other
Dash, her dude says that, listen, my business partner at that time wanted her.
Right.
And she didn't want him.
Right.
Interesting.
So
Uh,
they say that yes, Jay-Z. I'm gonna send you all these things. Jay-Z.
I think you need to put these links on the icon
I'm
page
gonna put them.
so people can see them, so they know they exist. Like people are like, hey, are you sure? In fact, after the show, there's a Wapio link.
I'm gonna put them in the YouTube caption, okay, so that you guys can watch all these things.
Ah.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So, she gets to the plane, it goes down. Then the same time that happens, Beyonce and Jay-Z, it's discovered that they're dating, and that's when it was unleashed. So this was to now get rid of Aaliyah, who was big at that time. Marie also, because now Marie producer was now handed over to Beyonce to now pave way to this new star. That's
like,
a conspiracy
I
theory.
feel like hip hop has the biggest conspiracies in the music world.
Yes.
Compared to rock, compared to other kinds forms of music. Like like jazz, for example. Jazz had beef. Like they had beef. Like the female, like if you go back to stories of jazz, you're like, oh, like when you hear about the music scene, how they used to put it down there, you know, you like hear about Miles Davis or what. Those guys had issues,
Right.
but you hear more about the hip hop community than about them.
Well, for this one, it seems like a lot happened because they say even within, I think that same year or the next, who does Jay-Z go on tour with and make an album with?
Who? B.
R. Kelly.
Yeah, R. Kelly. And if you know the story with R. Kelly, I saw that whole thing Jay-Z was talking about. R. Kelly's the one who reached out to them. And they said he was a drama queen.
Right.
You know, it's like literally he would not show up at the time he's supposed to show up for the show.
Right.
He'd bring, so they didn't even finish that tour with R. Kelly.
Yeah, it went down bad.
Yeah.
It didn't
and
really.
so,
And nobody's really talking about that album, to be very honest. Best of
so-
both worlds.
yeah.
So, but for Dame Dash, he says he lost all respect for Rockefeller, for Def Jam, and for Jay-Z because he was rocking with R. Kelly, did an album with R. Kelly, knowing full well that R. Kelly was a pedophile and took advantage of Aaliyah.
But there's another side to also Dame Dash with Jay-Z. So they were business partners, you know? And so it's like when they were splitting their ways, Jay-Z told Dame Dash, take everything that you want from Rockefeller, just leave me with my album Reasonable Doubt.
Right.
And Dame was like, no.
Okay.
He was like, no. You know, he refused. You know, that was like one of his first proper albums.
Yeah.
Reasonable Doubt.
Right.
You know?
But
And
he still released it.
Yeah, but now he wanted to own it.
Okay.
You see, because they were partners, like Dame Dash owns a certain percentage.
Right.
You know, people know the story about even how production labels operate. The person who invests in the record,
Right.
puts physical money, is the one that owns the masters.
Right.
And so, like, Dame Dash more or less own like a percent of the masters there. So that's
Right.
what the big issue was.
Right.
So they didn't talk for years. I don't even know if they're talking now.
No, they're not. They're not. And you remember, like, Dame Dash has gone through a few legal wars, I guess, I think, to money or whatever. He's not had the easiest time. He hasn't had the easiest life. But he has spoken out a lot about Jay-Z. So that's, you know, just like Jay-Z and Kanye, that's dead. Like, once you do that, once you come at him, you come at his family, whatever, he's done with you. But now, there's all these conspiracy theories against Jay-Z and wanting to be a number one and getting rid of DMX, getting rid of Aaliyah, all of this.
So he took over Def Jam.
Yeah, and the Carters are always, you know, trying to, you know, get rid of this, that, and the other to stay on top. Now, there's this one now about P. Diddy, which we want to play for you in just now. I think the clip is ready. So there's one about P. Diddy and who he got rid of to remain at the top of Bad Boy. Oh, Bad Boy was his, but to remain at the top of Bad Boy. So this is what Jaguar Wright.
I think Bad Boys was Diddy, but it was invested in by Clive Davis. He put
Right,
the- he
it
put-
was.
Yeah.
Right. So now here's the story alluding to what exactly happened with Diddy and some of the people who from Bad Boy Records. Let's take a listen.
I was thinking to myself the other day, Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Mm. Kim's dead. Mm-hmm. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. And then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was going to meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, you want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Mm-hmm. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? He must be the luckiest motherfucker, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning is all gone.
Police about the cursing, but yes.
Yeah, I remember the story of Uptown Records.
Right.
Andre Harrell. Mm-hmm. So Puffy was like an errand boy. Mm-hmm. You know, he moved up the ladder, but then he claims that Andre Harrell felt like his ego was getting too big, so he was dropped.
Okay.
And I think Jodeci was there. You know, there was Heavy D was definitely there. Mm-hmm. You know, Mary J is lined up there to also Uptown. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of artists. They were there. So when he set up Bad Boys, he had but Andre, I think they were doing quite well. But then the shift changed when the music scene was changing. So that's how it worked out for Bad Boys.
Right.
You know, and he set up his own record label where he got backing from Clive Davis on the records they were supposed to put out. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's a good question. All these people have passed away. I know the big one people really speculated about was Heavy D.
Right.
You know.
Why was there speculation into Heavy D?
I think people didn't understand like how some felt like maybe he was overweight. Yeah. What did he call himself? The heavyweight overlover or something like? He used to have a name that he used to call himself. You know. Right. And it's like he's not the only guy in hip hop who has died being heavy. There was Big Pun. There was this group back in the days. In the 80s, who were under Russell Simmons, those guys. Yeah. The Fat Boys.
Fat Boys.
You know, I was reading their story. They died like they used to eat like those guys used to eat like. So 2 of them I think had like some heart attack. Yeah. Or something, just like the Big Pun thing. Yes. And so guys just assumed that Heavy D, his was a weight issue. Mm. And that's what happened. You know, but he wasn't that old. Mm. You know, so now for her to come out and say, nah, it wasn't really like that. This is what happened. Right. You know, I remember there was this tribute to Bad Boy Records in Uptown, and it was around P. Diddy, and he gives this tribute to Kim Porter. Right. I remember. Says the way he shows his love, and I don't know what. Gets really intimate. Right. On it, you know. Right. And so, I don't know. I feel there is a speculation that P. Diddy does hide behind things. You know, he has a lot of things that are coming out right now, and
It's
people are beginning to
crazy.
question even him being straight or
His
you know,
sexuality is also being
yeah,
called a lot
yeah.
into
There's
question.
I'm sure, and this is the same lady who leaked it. And so the other question is why is she leaking them now?
I think.
That's an important question. Like if she knew about this all back, because she also brought up about Mary J. Blige.
What did she say about Mary J?
There's a story about Mary J. Blige also swinging on the other way. You know.
Oh, it's Hollywood, I guess. People experiment.
But the question is, she was with these guys all this time,
Right.
right? She was with them all this time. I think even if you look at, if I'm not wrong, the tribute tour that Bad Boys did.
Yeah.
I think she was there also,
Right.
one of the vocalists.
Right.
If I'm not wrong. So people were like, if you knew this all this time, you had it all this time.
Right.
Who's pissed you off that you're talking about it now? Did he
think-
deny you something?
All the people that she's talking about are all the people who pissed her off. They probably shunned her after she was no longer useful to them anymore. So of course you know what the Bible says about a woman scorned, yeah. So this might be the case with her as well.
But Diddy's known to piss off a lot of people. If you look at how he also pissed off Lorianne Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
People forget Lorianne Gibson was a dancer and a choreographer for that time of Real Love
Right.
for Mary J.
Right.
And she talks about a lot of times how Diddy put her down and he would treat her a certain way. But then later on, she comes to a reality show. She's there crying tears. He's her biggest inspiration.
Oh Lord.
She loves him. So you wonder, you have to ask the question, this Jaguar,
Right.
what happened that she's talking about now? Did they deny her something that she feels that now she needs to come out with it?
I think so.
If they gave her what she wanted, would she be talking about it?
Probably not. She just looks now she doesn't look like what she was when she was rolling around with Jay-Z and them. She kind of looks like she's come a step down. She's become your regular schmegular Joe. And probably she was, and just like any situation, when you're up there, everybody's there up there with you. But now when you come down and you go through a bad situation, everybody abandons you. And that's what probably happened to her. It even happens in our industry. A lot of guys, like Kolo was here I think 2 weeks ago, and he talked about how his phone was always off the hook for this plan and that plan and this project, blah blah blah. But then now when things started going sideways for him, his phone stopped ringing.
Same thing with Jimmy Gathu.
Yeah, it's happened to me as well. I was at some point, blah blah, and my phone was ringing off the hook when I was starting off my career in media, and I'd always be called for this, that, and the other. But the minute I was no longer in it, my phone stopped ringing.
That's the name of the game, because even for us back in the days when we had our crew rap community, it's like I was being looked for everything,
Right.
But I'm the one who decided to step back.
Right.
Nothing really happened. I'm the one who said, no man, this whole celeb life is not for me.
Right.
Let me take a step back
Right.
from it. But people want you when you're up, but when you're down, they want to knock you.
Exactly.
That's just the fact of how the game, how the
It's
cookie
what it
crumbles.
is. Yep.
That's just how it is, and we face the same thing in Kenya among a lot of artists. So there, a good example is people have asked me for very many years, what happened? Let's come local now. What happened to Henry Mutuko?
Right.
And there's a story that she just couldn't handle the fame, and she decided to take a step back. And she took a step back the last time she was heard was in I think it was probably 2000, 2001, 2002. And then she came back. Was it around 2010 or something? She came back years later,
Right.
and people always won. So of course there was speculation about her. But I remember when she was up, when she had won Cora Award, she had done all these things.
Right.
Every week she was being looked for. There's no week that would go by people didn't want her on a gig. They wouldn't say, "Hey, we're with the Cora Award winner."
Right.
But then her life changed.
Right.
Her life. She knows why better.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate on it.
Yeah.
She knows better. But people always, they want to praise you when you're up and say, "That's my person. That's my boy. That's my G." But then when your life goes down, what they do is say, I don't, who? I don't know that person.
Right.
You must get a distance. I don't know them at all. You know, and it's unfortunate. That's how it happens.
Right.
You know, it's like we were talking the other day about Destiny's Child. You know, when those two girls left the group, everyone had a hate speech about them.
Right. Oh, it was that.
But now you're saying they're gonna go on tour with the original Destiny's Child, them being part of the original. Now everyone's gonna be looking for them and saying, "Yeah, those are my." In fact, I remember one story where one of the girls was she was walking down the road.
Right.
I forget which chick it is, But she was walking down the road, and Beyonce was like in a car across the road. And she saw, that's. She left the car and ran and hugged her. And that's how they reconnected.
Right.
And then everyone who was around, they were like, now they're cool with her because Beyonce is cool with her. Yeah.
Beyonce herself has also been linked to a lot of conspiracy theories.
People call her a hater. They call her a wannabe, and they say she's a wannabe because she stole Tina Turner's moves. She actually agrees that Tina Turner was one of her inspirations. Like when you see the way she dances, her legs move, it is true. That's Tina Turner. But so what?
You can't blame her.
We have other people in the music industry who have been this also. Like if you go to Jamaica, Sean Paul, they don't respect him. They say he's a studio artist. He's not like he's not like Bounty Killer. He's not like Beanie Man.
On the mic
he's not like those guys.
Yeah.
And then they say he jacked Supercat style. But when you talk to Supercat told him, no, this guy told me, I've endorsed him. Like he calls him his godfather. In the music, and he's like, me, I'm cool with him taking it. Like he's moved it on to a new generation.
Right.
I have no problem with that. So people are always looking for controversy.
Always. It's just interesting about this conspiracy theory. So our question on social media today is asking, what is the most outrageous conspiracy theory you've ever had? There have been so many over the years, especially when it comes to music and hip-hop. What's the most outrageous conspiracy theory you have ever heard? Be sure to hit us up at +254 788 380030, as well as our YouTube channel where we are live. That's youtube.com/Icon Radio KE. We are also on Icon Radio KE platforms across the board. Holler at us, let us know your thoughts as we close up the show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be finishing off.
Takuaje ngumu kulipwa after madeni nkilipa ikijipa through the thanks sativa message nili deliver through. I think kwa bibi yako ukiapia kwa Ice Cube last Friday na rap people through single hii ni Kenyan men ka people. So keep the distance ka Mr. Ohingo juu kwa hii marathon mini kichoge na weni kino kichoge day in day out now hang out now I say what me pass out without any kwa head. Yes nilipigwa bed nilichimba kisima uliza Ted yuko dead come ni kushow grave kwenye kona akipanga wapi constantly kwenye kona uko flani constantly kwenye kona brave enough to snatch bling off the neck ya president the spare bamboo though jwali get saved nilikuwa na thoughts jingi za kucall Mr. Jiggy Jiggy tufanye song inaitwa Hallelujah lyrical Biblia Messiah for higher spit out fire drink Medusa nusa unga niliacha maji kigokota by the time nirudi nitakuwa nimeosa oboho kwa kila music festival na hii ni wo shinda panya ko but hamkunisikiza so ni ngumu kupenya bila kunisikiza skiza jo ya otero iki open hamna mtu righteous ama vipi bro nishaona rasta anakula nyama kama ni kushow ni show sleaze kwa skata zikunizangi ndani ya church niambie vizuri juu ni payback koke zita grow fat Hoko
kwenye kona constantly kwenye kona na squad ya watu 12 na squad ya watu 12 constantly kwenye kona constantly kwenye kona na squad ya watu 12 na squad ya watu 12
Hoko
Lego big tune. It's the Gideon revolutionary soldier. Only getting bolder. When me say you know, yeah how, yaga yow, yaga yeah yow. It's the L-E-V-Y-S-I-double-L. You better know yow. I sikiliza, new style in our maliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Kwa hivyo ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza, sikiza, new style in our maliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Niko mlangoni na sichoki kubisha hodi kama landlord akidai kodi. Lifestyle yangu wengi wana try kustodi wakidhani wataidandia ka konkodi. Ghafla nikileta wanatoka rodi after wakisha confess mi ndio fast body na kwenye loudspeaker mimi nasikika sauti yangu hadi huko ngambo ishafika. Ni ngumu sana kusahau hii face sababu hakuna anayeweza replace. Ni wengi washalemewa kwa hii race hawawezi keep up na hii base. Sikiliza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Kwa hivyo ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Sikiza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Respect kwa marude boy na mashata. Lyrics zangu kutoka kwangu mtapata. Wase wanabambi kama demu wanadata. Na kama una wako usisneki kukamata. Wanasema levi sila kosmata. Sababu teaching za selasi ya yanafuata. Na make history come Jomo Kenyatta. Utadhani mini panga vile na wakatakata. Hey, me now hustle each and every day. Not try to elevate in each and every way. Not circulate every day. And the people them tell me say them love when me say sikiliza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Kwa hivyo ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Sikiza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Check the situation all across the nation. Get a youth wanna lead to your separation. Wanati wengi bado wanna face persecution. Magova wako do your operation execution. We need a revolution, make a resolution. Get solution ya ku wipe out the pollution. Round the hill to on a whole heap of determination. Babylon the time has come for your extermination. Studio generation, Rasta federation. Tuko katika hizi times of revelation. Na kutoka ngoma tunapata motivation. Inifanya elevation yo. Sikiliza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Kwa hivyo ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Sikiza, new style inawamaliza. Usiachwe ukichoragiza, alivyotuahidi atatimiza. Kwa hivyo ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Sikiliza, you better know, new style inawamaliza. Ndoto yako endelea kukimbiza. Sing to the youth, you know. Rasta live yourself to that. Aha.
Here come the drums. You ever woke up one morning and asked yourself,
But yo, maybe tomorrow we win.
Good morning, Icon Radio. So the biggest, okay, not the biggest, but the one conspiracy theory that I know is Jay-Z's baby. When they put the pictures, when they put the picture of the baby and Jay-Z, they just look alike, and I think it's true.
Maleka Matunda coming in to give us her thoughts on that. Yes, there was a huge conspiracy theory when it came to babies.
It had to be Maleka Matunda.
Yes, it had to be.
Huh?
But the conspiracy theories have been many, quite many, even in our own industry. And some people have been telling their own, like Bamboo has been speaking left, right, and center about what he believes our Kenyan industry looks like and who is.
But the conspiracy, the one that's never been sorted out. Tell me if it has. Maybe I'm wrong. The issue, the guy or the guys who shot Malcolm X.
Well, that's another like Tupac kind of situation.
Because two of them one was shot on the leg, so two of them were taken to court,
right.
And then the judge said there was not enough evidence. How? Like
it's an FBI conspiracy theory, okay?
FBI and CIA.
They wanted him out. They wanted to take him out, okay? That one was there. See, the CIA, FBI, all of them.
But
they wanted him out.
also the guys in his faith wanted him out.
Right.
They felt like he's becoming too big.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest.
And he spoke against them as well.
That's one of the biggest, hugest conspiracy theories ever. Him and Martin Luther King.
Right.
Like, no one knows what happened.
Right. So, as in, of course, you can still weigh in, although the time is up, you can still weigh in with which is the most outrageous conspiracy theory you've ever heard.
I'll tell you which one it is. For me, is who's the exact guy who shot Dedan Kimathi?
Is there an exact guy? They were all white. As in, like,
yeah, it was white, but you don't usually say, oh, it must have been this guy.
The question is, who gave him up? Who's the snitch?
You see, but Dedan Kimathi there's so many different puzzles to him also. Like, so in Kenya, we have our own conspiracy theory,
yes.
Our own people.
There is a lot, especially when it comes to, the political side, but also in the music side, there's a lot of conspiracy theory. G Rongi, when he was here last, he discussed about the fact that, also Lady S was kind of like sacrificed or whatever. He spoke about also, something happening within the Ogopa camp, to the point of Isa and K-Rapt. I never knew about any of that. I was shocked. I was shook.
Me, the one conspiracy theory I want to know in 2023, I've been asking this question, but no one's ever answered me. Bwana Rao amenyamaza. Like, you don't find that strange?
Can you be serious?
I'm serious, by the way. This is a game of
politics. It's a game we can't even get into.
It's not a politics thing. I just want him to speak up and say this is why I'm being quiet.
Now, before we leave, there's also now this whole unfortunate war, like absolutely devastating war between Israel and Palestine.
Hasn't that been going on
chosen a side
for decades?
It has. It's been there for the last 75 years.
Yeah, theirs never ends.
I've never really chosen a side.
Which side is this?
Me, I'm with the Palestinians. They've been taken through so much genocide, so many atrocities for the longest time. But Israel is more known. Because of course
they're like if it was hip hop, they'd be like the A stars of hip hop.
Of course, they're in every facet of industry, whether it's hip hop, whether it's business, whether it's leadership. They're in every facet. And of course, whenever anything has happened in this country, they've been the first people to come out and help us. Whenever there's been a terrorist attack, and we can't take that away from them.
Yeah, they did from back in the days.
But the atrocities that the Palestinians have seen, I can't even get into that because it's a very long, and I can't stop there's nothing I can't stop watching. But you do see a lot of celebs who are coming out to speak out, but more towards the support of Israel. And you know what that is? There are a lot of Jewish people in top positions in both sport, entertainment, industry, whatever it is. So of course they can't come out and obviously speak out against Israel when some of these people are signing their checks.
This is totally different. But that guy of Tinder Swindler, wasn't he from Israel?
Was he? I
Yeah,
think
he
so,
was. He
yeah.
was from Israel.
Yeah, but you've gone way off. But yes.
Yeah, but I'm saying, when you say Israel,
It's true.
I'm just thinking about what's going on.
It's true. It's very true. Now, one person who came out now, I think between yesterday and today, was LeBron James.
Mm.
And he was like, we stand with the people of Israel, blah, 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 blah. It's hypocrisy playing, okay? If it wasn't for the fact that, again, he has to work with these people, I think, again, a lot of people of their views would be very different. And you get to see just a lot about how things get played in Hollywood. Because even one of the famous models, Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, they are from Palestine. Yeah, of course they say we stand with our people, but at the same time they're saying we stand against the atrocities which are happening in Israel, which is very much a fact. The things that have happened in Israel, no person should be able to see, no family should be able to go through.
It's true. It's true.
No one.
The thing is there any point where there'll be some time where they'll come together and they'll, like, there's some unity? Will it ever happen? You know, like, for example, in Africa, we've always had the Sudan issue, the North versus South. You know? It's been there, like, forever. There's one time they said there's peace, then before you blink your eye, they are back to how they were. So is there any ever time that Palestine and Israel will be like, you know what? This is enough. This has been going on for decades. Enough is enough.
I think with the advent now of social media, everything will be brought to the light. You know, like that thing that's always been swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
Always been swept under the carpet. I think it now be brought to light because there are children who have grown up in jails in Israel, right?
For no reason.
And for no reason. So it also brings to the claim that the people of Palestine are living in an open air prison. So now these things are starting to now that dust is being swept away, and now we're getting to see what's on the surface. Yeah, we're getting to see what's under the carpet.
I think it's atrocity. But even if we come locally, I want to say this. In Kenya, we're facing a lot of problems right now. Huge problems. You know, some of it you never see. Then one day, you hear about it. Some place, whether it's Samburu, you hear about something going down.
Right.
You know, and then it's like
recently.
I feel like Kenya, the whole people who are looked at as the leaders, you know, they came up with this whole thing of this hustler movement, you know, for the young people, you know, they have the hustler bags, they have the hustler hat, they have all this thing going on. But we are suffering over here. And the people keep on saying we are suffering, you know. And I feel like locally, this issue needs to be looked into. Not just looked into, because I always feel that the people always talk about a solution in life, but they never talk about a resolution. You know, we don't resolve things in Kenya.
Resolution.
We don't resolve things. But also on the flip side, us as Kenyans, we have this negativity towards one another. You know, we have this thing I call it the me first philosophy.
Right.
Where you're even on the road, you're driving, someone's hooting at you. They want to come and overtake you for no reason. Like if you're in the jam, someone comes so close to your car they're about to hit it. You know, they want to be always first and everything. When are we ever going to be united? You know, we can't be united for one season. Right. Then it's like, you know, so even locally, we have to look at our structures. You know, people don't like talking about it because at least I can say it's better than the Moi era where you disappear and no one know where you are. There's nowhere to call. There's no mobile phones.
Right. Hopefully that will never come back again. But yes, it just, again,
but you
it's
know,
a lot to be said. Of course, taking sides is never the most popular thing to do. People try to remain in the middle. But just watch the trends of what I'm trying to allude to is watch the trends of Hollywood in regards to this whole thing.
Yeah, they are.
See what the actors do. See how they react. See how the sports personalities, music personalities, how all of them react to all of this, and it will tell you a lot about how the world works.
There's another trend that's come up I was reading about the other day. Now I want to get you guys' view on this. Myra, I want to hear your view also. So they brought the top 10 countries in Africa that speak English well. Guess where Kenya was?
Where?
Guess.
Number 1?
No. We were number 4.
After?
Uganda's number 1. You see? I laughed. I was just like, what? No.
I'm not laughing.
I think Nigeria was like number 3 or something. Then we follow Nigeria. Yeah.
What are the facts behind those?
And the thing is, Nigeria, they're like Ugandans in a way. They have, okay, someone told me this, like I was showing shade, but it's the truth. Nigerians in Uganda, when they talk, they say, hey, my brother, you are embarrassing me. Not embarrassing. Embarrassing. Eh? So I'm thinking, like, it's such a long word. Like, when they talk, most people are like, in fact, most people I know around the world, when they hear Nigerians talk, and they're like, what did that person just say?
Speaking of Nigeria, big shout outs to Olaseye, Olatoye.
But you know what I'm saying? How could he be number 4?
Yeah, he's in the comment section. He says, I see you, my OAP. Hey, what's up? Met him last week. Big shout out. Thank you so much for listening in. Neil says, people quickly associate with you once you are successful, but disappear when you are down. 100%.
That's true.
Human nature, just like MJ said it. Angel has commented on Uganda. It says, Uganda, hell nah.
Well, I love Uganda. I have a lot of friends from Uganda. I lived in Uganda, but I disagree. I disagree. You know, that is what I call, if you want to know, on the Vault Day conspiracy theories, that is a conspiracy theory.
What I like about Uganda is that they really love their language.
And they're always smiling.
They always speak their language. They're proud of their language. And they feel like Kenyans are sellouts. We don't embrace our language as much as we should. But we have 52 languages.
No,
in
but
this
there's a problem with Uganda. When I was in Uganda, I was in Kampala. The first time I went to Kampala, and I was going, there's a place called Owino Market.
Okay.
It's like Agikosh.
Right.
So I went there, said, let me check out what they have, some jeans, and see what I can get from there. Because, their price, the shilling, compared. First of all, let me tell you this first. When I arrived in Uganda, I got an Ndudi to go where I was supposed to stay.
Yeah.
So the Ndudi guy asked him, how much is it? He tells me when I arrived, 4,000 shillings. I was like, no, you're lying. Because me, I'm thinking about 4,000. Kumbe, that price was telling me was just like 30 bob, shillings. So when I went to Owino Market, I was being from, and I don't speak Luganda. So it's like I started talking to those guys, I started talking Swahili. All of them moved away from me, like I was a plague.
Right.
And I was wondering why these guys moving away. So I asked a friend of mine who's there, and he said, you know why we learn Swahili in school. It's not that we don't know Swahili. We learn it in school. We can speak it. But when you come here and speak it, why people look at you funny is because Idi Amin soldiers, when they used to come and beat up people and also rape the women, they used to speak in Swahili. You know that like the Swahili like Mombasa. That's what they used to speak. Like Tanzania, like that kind.
Right.
And so they look at you like, what do you want here? Are you coming to steal something? What is it? So I love Ugandans. I have a lot of friends from Uganda. At the same time, I feel like they're very passionate about their music. The musician, the artists over there, something in Kenya that we're not. We're kind of like, yeah, do what you've got to do.
Right.
But the problem with it is sometimes they're over passionate, where it becomes like it's a war.
Right.
When they start fighting each other, trying to beat up each other. We know the story what happened that time of Radiant Weasel, and those are the negative sides about it. So I think even in Kenya, we should not get to that point where when someone says something, we're going to war over it. Just leave the music out there, enjoy the music, and move on.
Right. 100%. So we're going to leave off with the last comment. Our Niger brother says, Niger, we speak Queen's English. He is not with you on that.
Definitely. Listen to my Nigerian brother. I lived in the UK for many years. That what you speak is definitely not the Queen's English.
Oh, Lord.
It's another English, but it definitely is not the. And the thing I hate about the UK, let me make this as we wind up. The thing I hate about the UK English, people ask me, you lived there for so many years, how come you don't have that accent? It's because I hated their English, first of all. I feel like they talk like they're underwater. Hey, mate. Like they're underwater, like they're swimming underwater. I've always hated it. And the young guys, to be honest, when you go into the UK, they have Jamaican accent. They're like, hey, wagwan. That's how they talk.
So, in other words, Jimmy is saying, our Nigerian brother,
it's not Queen's English.
He's saying It depends which queen it is.
Yeah, it must be. It must be Queen of Igwe or somewhere. But not.
It depends on which queen. We have many queens.
It must be Queen of Lagos.
It depends which queen it is. Okay. All right. On that note, guys, we gotta go. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here with us and contributing to the conversation. Whichever language we communicate in, it has to be a language of love, peace, and unity. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. And as always, we say, hip hop ni culture loves. It's how.